Bad Larry.
Published in June 1965 in The Amazing Spider-Man number 25, we were all introduced to the world's number one redhead, Mary Jane Watson. Well, kinda. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Bad Larry Kingdom. I'm your host, Bad Larry. Today we're checking out The Amazing Spider-Man number 25. What I enjoy so much about the villains created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko were they were often counterbalancing Spider-Man, such as this robot imitating Spider-Man's webbing, or Doc Ock with his metal arms counterbalancing Spider-Man. I also find it interesting the way Steve Ditko drew the webbing to look more like glue than what I remember as a kid with like the Todd McFarlane way that he drew the webbing more like barbed wire. What antics has J. Jonah Jameson got into now that he's a robot playing Ring Around the Rosie with Spider-Man? Let's check it out. I've made this claim many, many times before, but even though James Dean died in 1955, I believe Steve Ditko still used him as a virtual muse for Peter Parker. Their physical similarities are uncanny, even wearing this similar Argyle style shirt with the suit, and the hairstyles are the exact same. What y'all think? This is why I don't think any of the live actors perfectly nailed Peter Parker. As you can see in this frame, Liz Allen has the hots for Peter. She's the most popular girl in school. They're seniors now, so that means a lot. Peter was never a dork or a geek. He is actually really handsome in the same way that James Dean was, more than the way Toby or Andrew or Tom has ever portrayed Peter Parker. Peter is being a bit reckless here while crawling in his civilian attire. He spends all this energy worrying about his secret identity, and here he is just not giving a dang. I do like how his suit coat slightly resembles a cape. I think this was the point to allow Peter to kind of have a cape for just a moment. Spider Man is lucky he's always spotting some thieves about to do something. I like how he calls them auto thieves instead of carjackers, which is what we would say now. In regards to the art here, we see Steve making a nice transition from the suit jacket looking like a cape, focused on the strong male aesthetics in the middle frame, and ending with Peter mid change revealing his true calling, the Spider Man. See, we were able to see Peter almost with the cape, and it felt weird, right? It's because heroes who wore capes were either Batman, who was scary, or Superman, who was always celebrated. Spider Man is neither of those things, and these frames tell that story. I love the spider light. It should be used more nowadays. It guided this beat cop to interrupt the caper these thugs were pulling. What a word, caper! It comes from the Latin word capra, which means goat. So, how does the Latin word for goat wind up meaning a crime? Well, goats leap up and jump around in a similar way to criminals when they get spotted by the cops and make a run for it. So, around 1925, that's when this slang first took root in American linguists. But poor Peter, he's always trying to get that cash, getting some of those sweet pics of the cop arresting the crooks in order to sell that to the old vile J. Jonah Jameson. I think Stan Lee gave us a little Easter egg here with the interaction between Aunt May and Peter Parker. She waits up for Peter and tells him that she was catching a Joan Crawford movie. Why would she say that? Like Peter would care what she was watching. But here's the rub. The clue was for us, the reader. In 1965, the most popular Joan Crawford movie was, quote, I Saw What You Did, end quote. This is a clear clue that Aunt May is telling Peter and us that I think she knows Peter's Spider-Man. Do you agree, or am I just looking too deep into it? I'm not a big fan of Spider-Man switching his suits in every single movie. I like the traditional suit and the black suit, and that's about it. But it does make sense with Peter shown here to have a backup suit, meaning he has multiple suits. Also, Peter's a science guy. He is known to use tech, and some of his tech suits are whack. The tension with Jameson is always subtle but significant. Jameson is a total jerk to everyone except when he wants something. Then he's sweet as honey. Who is this guy Jameson schmoozing? Peter risks a lot to get these pictures, and Jameson is just shitting on them like they're mid. This is what I'm talking about. These are totally unique pictures, but Jameson, being the snake he is, dismisses them in order to just pay less money than they're worth. Poor Peter, literally being poor, has to be put up with this bullcrap. But Peter is learning. Hey, besmirching Spider Man and Jameson in order to sell some pics isn't below him now, but apparently it is for Betty. What is her deal? She is so hot and cold with Peter. This little tiff is actually necessary in order to introduce you know who later on, and gives us the reader the same relief as Peter when you know who shows up. Out of nowhere, this fella named Smythe shows up with a rather ridiculously looking robot, trying to sell it off to Jameson as the thing that'll take Spider Man down. Peter being right next to it is ironic, but it also gives him a heads up. Jameson initially isn't buying what Smythe is selling. It is Peter who convinces Jameson to take on the project. Heck, we all know Spider Man likes a challenge. He's always game. And when he beats this stupid bag of bolts, it'll be egg on Jameson's face. Win win for Peter. Again, Betty butts in with some attitude. Girl, go file some papers or something. I love how aggressive Peter is being here, telling Betty to ixnay. Very rude, not even looking at her. She's grabbing him like she's a fan at Miley Cyrus concert. But his tactics have worked. Jameson has made a turn and is going to give the robot a shot against Spider Man. Well, don't be sweating now, Peter. This is what you asked for. Now he is stuck holding this stupid spider while the robot is going to attack it without harming Peter. Yeah, right. The win here comes from the fact Peter has already felt the strength of these steel coils, and he knows he cannot break them, which is interesting. And his identity is still safe, as this is the first time this robot has been tested. So everyone thinks, oh, it just needs to be tweaked. Nobody thinks Peter is Spider-Man from this demo. Now Peter has some egg on his face. Betty gives him the business, and Jameson is just sitting there like Peter doesn't exist. Rude. Smythe tells Jameson he can operate the robot by remote control, which is a cool idea for the time. Peter Parker learns where the release button is on the machine, and then Betty gets back on her nag box, equipped with the hands on the hips, pointy finger, and the forward lean. Listen, I was all for Betty in the beginning, but she is on my last nerve at this point, which is the point. So when she gets replaced, it's no love lost. Listen, all you people in relationships, this is the opposite of how you treat your partner. Getting all in a tiff and then storming off. Girl, bah! Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Peter has enough trouble, and now Liz is chasing after him with Flash, and he's all ready to deliver him a walloping because he's been talking that mess with his boys. And he thinks it's his time to shine. Well, good luck, old buddy boy. Flash has said he's drawn the line. Back in the day, if you get challenged to an after school fight, you better show up or it'll be hell to pay for the rest of your school days. But Peter is super jumpy, not because of Flash, but because of that spider hunting robot. But he should just chill, let his spidey senses alert him when it's necessary. But the problem, he isn't masked up. The robot doesn't care about exposing Peter Parker's secret identity. How does this lady brain work? The robot going after Spider Man won't be Peter's fault. He didn't make the robot. He isn't deploying the robot. That's all J. Jonah Jameson and the science guy Smythe. Betty is whack, but the robot is activated and about to start its hunt. But come on, this thing's a hunk of junk, right? This is a bit corny even for 1965. This robot just strolling down the street, J. Jonah Jameson operating it with no prior training. This thing can't be that intuitive to control. And here is the Peter Parker Spider Man dilemma. Peter Parker must change into Spider Man and take this take care of this stupid robot, but in doing so, he'll miss the fight with Flash and make him look like a real coward. He's in a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario. Oh, this is a mess. Liz Allen is getting into the mix. Flash is chasing down Peter along with all his classmates. The robot is near. Peter is stuck. Only J. Jonah Jameson can get away with this type of behavior. Rude ass dude to the civilians, yet they keep buying his paper? Is there no competition in New York City for the news at this point? Is the Daily Bugle the only newspaper around? How is this guy still in business? This is kind of funny though. Peter running with his classmates chasing and the robot not far behind. And the robot, come on, how is it even stable? It only has the two legs and it's all body, which would make it super unstable. And what about that range? This is very Sunday paper comic strip versus what we see in today's comics. Finally, Peter uses his speed to turn the corner and take the high ground. And of course, this robot has go go gadget inspector arms because why not, right? The real fight is about to kick off, and Smythe and Jameson are cheering like they've already won. Methinks they're going to realize they wasted a big chunk of change on this stupid robot. This is an interesting panel. It's really the first time on Peter Parker's people to begin to wonder why Peter's never around when Spider-Man is around. Liz Allen is starting to put two and two together. Look, I don't like to trash old comic art, as these old books created the foundation for what we have today. Steve Ditko drew Spider-Man very well here, but the robot, come on, this robot art is trash. It's not scary with these gray noodle arms. It's too basic even for 1965. But Flash is such a fanboy, he quickly forgets about Peter and wants to go help Spider-Man. Listen, don't do that. Let the pros do what the pros do. Don't act like your help will be anything other than an annoyance to the pro. Spider-Man and the robot look like they're having a showdown in the town square at high noon. Very cowboy-esque of Spider-Man. One thing we don't get with modern Spider-Man comics are these different webbing options. Purple webbing that's liquid based? First time I'm seeing that. What do y'all think? Should Spider-Man have more webbing options than just his standard webs? Spider-Man's liquid web attack was a fail, and now the robot's arms are having him dance around like he's MC Hammer. This is just training though for Doc Ock, I think. The showdown idea has to be abandoned. Spider-Man must take the fight to the high ground where he can use his speed and agility to his advantage. Betty tries to pull the old "let me get that for you, sir" gag, but Jameson's too fast for that trick. I don't know if Ditko was drawing these frames late at night or in the dark, or he was just so overworked, but this last frame of Betty makes her look, well, it's bad, right? She looks bad. I don't think Spider-Man is getting that tired, and I don't think this stupid robot could actually keep up with him for real. But it's interesting that Jameson is better at shit talking than Spider-Man is. Normally, it's Spider-Man who can't keep his trap shut while fighting. Betty does the old bumble, stumble, rumble, unplug it move. Nice. Clumsy old Betty. Sorry about that, boys. But before we move on, look at them man hands on Betty. He's really letting her have it in this issue. Jameson is battling two against one here. Spider-Man in the streets and Betty in the office. He's actually super aware, puts Betty's meddling ass in some office. So now it's only up to Spider-Man to save himself. But Betty isn't a quitter though. She tries to call Peter with no luck. She thinks old bones Aunt May is on the phone yapping it up. Is Betty wrong for saying women can talk for hours and hours? Is she wrong? No, that's tough. That probably wouldn't fly today, even with the girl character saying it. It is so interesting seeing this fight. Flash is such a Spider-Man fan, and Liz is a Peter Parker fan. They're trying to protect the same guy, essentially. It's hilarious. This is the most X-Men issue of Spider-Man that can be. A seemingly unstoppable robot locked onto Spider-Man's specific DNA, hunting him down senselessly. Maybe this is the father of the Sentinel idea. One thing this OG Spider Man does well is give him a stamina nerf. He can't just go on forever and ever like he seems to be able to nowadays. Now we switch to an Archie style comic here. A blonde and a brunette being haters on each other while thirsting over Peter Parker. And here is the setup. We see the two main ladies in Peter Parker's life, Betty Brant and Liz Allen, coming to Peter's house, about to be introduced to player number 3, the main course, if you will. So this is like clickbait for 1965, right? We're officially, quote, quote, introduced to Mary Jane Watson, but not able to see her face. No, not yet. But we see that both Betty and Liz, who are attractive in their own right, are gobsmacked with how beautiful MJ is, comparing her to a movie star, which is the main cliffhanger of the issue. We will definitely want to see her face next issue for sure. Clever boy Stan Lee. So the ladies hit the trail running. They know they have no shot compared to Mary Jane. They know they're going to be yesterday's news. One thing you can learn from Flash, well, two things. Number one, loyalty. This dude is and has always been Spider Man's number one fan, even when he was the only one. So that's a good trait to have. Number two, persistence. Even though it really is stalker like behavior, dude is willing to just wait until Peter Parker gets home to wallop him. He followed through and everything he said he was going to do. Chase down his adversary. He's not giving up until he gives Peter Parker that old beating. If he wasn't such a D-bag, Flash would make for a decent sidekick. This robot thinks it's the Terminator. Just when Spider-Man catches his breath, this bag of bolts shows up talking crap. Sometimes running is your best option, and then sometimes standing your ground is the only option. Spider Man has just enough in the tank for one last battle. He better give it his all. These coils got Spider Man looking like a meatball in a spaghetti marinara. Spider Man better do something quick or it's game over. It looks like for the first time, Jameson is actually going to defeat Spider Man. Jameson is big brothering Spider Man, making him say, Uncle? That's tough. Braun isn't going to beat this thing. Peter knows where the on off button is on this stupid machine. If he can just access it quickly enough, time to deploy the old Super Stucky's fingertips. These two idiots think they have Spider Man caught in their net. Well, I think they're going to find their little net empty by the time they get to Spider Man. What's going on here? We saw Spider Man have multiple suits earlier in this issue. He must have used one of them to set up this little scene. Who's laughing now? Adolf Mustachio. Peter had enough time to turn his costume into a puppet. Jameson has got egg all on his face again. Nothing makes me happier. Just like Justin Timberlake said, cry me a river. We get a body shot of MJ. She's looking a little thick here, teasing us again by not showing us her face. But old Flash looks impressed. Finally, a cop tells this gingerballs to move on. No more stalking about, buddy boy. Peter comes home and we get a real good inkling that Aunt May has found Peter's backup costume because she got that we need to talk, young man action going on. Peter is also shocked to know MJ was at the house and he missed her, which should be no big deal. Peter doesn't even know her yet, or he hasn't even met her, so his big response is kind of out of sorts. The old bag of bones did find Peter's extra costume. He lies, saying, oh, it's just a goof. Does Aunt May believe him or nah? What y'all think? She says, of course, she doesn't think he's Spider-Man, but she insists on Keeping the costume? That's suspect. I think she knows, and it was just confirmed. What an episode! The first appearance, technically, of Mary Jane Watson. So, what did y'all think? Should Stan Lee have revealed her face this issue? Or do you think back in the day this was a real cliffhanger? Let me know in the comments down below. Hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you real soon. Peace.